think our scouts do a great job of preparing the staff, on who we may see, and whether it's Boyle, Blau. Boyle was a guy that I remember we evaluated coming out of college, potentially as a free agent. He was in Green Bay for a couple of years, so I feel like we know these guys, and we'll based on who's out there, we'll adjust accordingly. I think certainly the run pass overall selection. They leaned on the run game. The conditions weren't great there in Pittsburgh last week. They're not going to be great here this week either. So I do think it's going to be a lot of the run game. And I think there was multiple tight end usage. They brought in an offensive lineman to play tight end a bunch of times. So I think that's where they pivoted to, and they had some success doing it.
And what we pivoted to was the Lions starting Tim Boyle at quarterback, his first NFL start, and relying on a run game, something they did after the bye in that game last week where they tied the Steelers. So, Cam Justice, when you look at that, when you're starting a guy who hasn't started in an NFL game and you're a team that really doesn't have as much talent as the Browns, this is a game that the Browns need to kind of get after it, get at the line of scrimmage, and kind of dictate things defensively to the Lions. At least that's what I think. Your thoughts on that?
No, I think you're absolutely correct. I mean, the Lions have, look, this shouldn't be a track game because the Lions have played well against some tough opponents all season. Now they're 8-1, of course, but I mean, and that's the thing is they play well, they play strong, so it's not like, even if it wasn't Tim Boyle going in there, it's not like this should have been a game to take lightly. Now with him in there is absolutely no excuse for coming out maybe a little softer or coming out slow out of the gate, because you have to take advantage of this situation. You have to expose him and make it known that he is getting his first start. This is a game that he should look like he is new to the game and new to the league, and welcome to it, because you've got Myles Garrett ready to make plays on your line. There's been a lot of talk about how much pressure they need to start applying, and they are not comfortable with the amount of pressure that they have shown so far. And I think that's something that Joe Woods needs to come out with is a lot more pressure, especially in this situation. And yeah, I mean, they're not going to want to throw the ball. They're not going to want to do that. They're going to try to run it. Like Myles Garrett said today, he said they're going to want to run it until they can't run it anymore. We got to make sure that we stop them at all costs and force them to throw, and then make plays on the ball and score on defense. And that's kind of what their mentality is going into this, is realizing this is the opportunity to turn things around, not only for the team and the season, but defensively, and getting back to those turnovers and those takeaways that we saw kind of come to light against the Bengals. That's what they want. That's what this whole season has been about for the defense. And when you've got a quarterback like Tim Boyle coming in here for the first time, probably starting there, they're still even unsure. Goff is not playing, so if it's Boyle, if it's Blau, you don't know who's going to be in there, but it's not going to be their starter, and that you have to take advantage of that. And I think the Browns are aware of that. And I think that's kind of their game plan, no matter who is, under center for them or at quarterback for them. The Browns know that they have to take advantage of this situation, because this is as good of a situation as you get for the rest of the year.
Yeah, and I think the Browns win this pretty handily. I don't know. I'm not sure the score will necessarily get away from them, but I don't think there's going to be any doubt from pretty early in the game that the Browns have control. I think they're going to take control of this game, and I don't think there's going to be much question as to who wins.
No, I agree with you there. And, the Lions have really only been blown out the one time against the Eagles. Everything else has been kind of a little bit tighter of a game. Now there's been a couple scores here, a couple scores there, difference in some of their matchups, but they've played well against opponents like the Ravens, like the Vikings. Even in these losses, the Packers, they didn't play horribly against. I mean, it wasn't a terribly runaway game like that Eagles game that was 44-5. They haven't had anything like that. So yeah, I think you are right there, where the score might not reflect the dominance that the Browns have, especially if there's some weather and it becomes a ground game for the Browns as well too, which it should be with Nick Chubb back in the mix anyway. But I do think that this should be a game where there's not much question that the Browns take it, whether the score reflects that at the end or not. But they should look good against the Lions. And if they don't, that's an even bigger question for them to address as they have the rest of the season that probably won't end well if they lose this one.